up? I got Naskin here with me. This ain't a diss song, but yeah, you know what it is. I'm a cheesehead, y'all niggas cheese whiz. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's nothing. That Super Bowl ring, that's nothing. Pull up in your town when you.
There was a play yesterday where you and Aaron seemed very excited on. I think it was a lead draw. I'm not quite sure, but you guys were really hooting and hollering. Was there something? There was a pre-snap adjustment. What happened?
Well, one thing that we talk about a lot in the run game is it takes all 11, and it takes everybody, and it even takes the quarterbacks. Their boot fake, a lot of the time, can help it, especially when you have Aaron back there with the potential of him going out on a pass. If he continually runs out hard, he can fool a lot of guys. So I think a lot of time quarterbacks also, when the run game gets going, they kind of want to hand the ball off and look back and kind of see what's going on with the play. So I think that was one of those ones. It was a good-looking play, and Aaron did his job, and so it was exciting. You got to get excited about everything, even the little things.
Are you pleased with the competition behind Devontae, a wide receiver, and what you've seen there with some of the guys behind him?
Yeah, that group's it's a younger group, and I think they're all coming along. There's a lot of offense, and we kind of overload it in the beginning here. And the good thing is it's a lot of review from the off-season stuff, and I think that they've all are grasping it more and more every day, which allows them to go out there and play. I think the big step, especially early in camp, is learning the system even better than you knew it from before, so you can do that. You can showcase your talents, because you don't want to walk up to the line and think about, oh, what do I have to do here? Oh, gosh, what's the coverage? Oh, who's covering me? What do I got to do? So I think all the guys have done a nice job in understanding the system and getting better at it and showcasing some of their talents and doing some of the things. And we're excited to see kind of who continually rises up.
What do you think Tanya can give you?
I'll tell you, Tanya's done a really nice job. I would say one of the things, he's always been pretty good in the pass game, and I think one thing that, Coach Alton's done a great job with him, and they've worked great together in learning and embracing the run game. I think when you have a guy that's a pass threat down the field, and he also has the ability to run block, that that stock really helps that guy. It really helps him, and I think that's something that Bobby's done a nice job at, and he's going to continually get better.
Have you rotated skilled players this often, this early in camp, and whether you have or haven't, what are you getting out of it, I guess, seeing guys continually moving in and out?
I think one thing is the wide receivers, they love getting their conditioning, catching the ball, and going all the way down the field. So I think that whenever you do that and they want to score every single play, you have to have the next guy rolling in. I think it's good for everybody, because I think it's good for the more people that can get in there, the more people that have an opportunity. So I think the more you can sub them in, the more that they can be thrown in there without knowing that they're going in there. It just kind of puts them in that, I got to get up there and go. So, and the more people we can work with, because you never know really at the end of the day who's going to be out on the field. So the more people you can get all the different quarterbacks experience with, I think the better it is for them.
Have you done that before, or is that something that?
In my past, there was always a lot of moving in and out and subbing in, and because a lot of the time too you have some specific plays for people and guys. You want to try to get guys in positions and run routes that that they're going to be good at, and that you think that's what they'll excel at. You want them to get practice at that, because it is a limited amount of reps, so you want to be sure you kind of take advantage of every moment there.
Looking at those wide receivers from a production standpoint, we've seen pretty much every guy be productive in spurts outside of MVS. Like, he seems to be the one guy who hasn't had a day, you know what I mean? And I don't know if I don't know what you see on tape as far as, is he just not getting looked at, or is he just not calling stuff for him, or what's going on?
No, not at all. I think it's, every play you script, and then there's certain things that happen within the defense. Whether you might have something that you're trying to get him a ball, and something might happen with the protection, or a coverage might change, or a guy might do something else that makes you can't get it to him. So it's so fluid in all that stuff. You're always trying to get everybody, at least a couple balls a day, and sometimes it plays out, sometimes you have to progress. So I think right now it's about watching him on the field and watching him run his routes and do his job, and he's doing a nice job at that.
Why is Aaron Jones a good fit for this system, do you think?
Well, he's got a really good burst and ability to press the outside. And then his one-cut ability is I mean, it showed up a couple times yesterday that it looked nice. And I think that's something that, and I think the biggest surprising thing for me was watching him when he did make his cut, his ability to get his shoulder square and downhill. You know, he's not the biggest guy, but his ability to really stretch it, one cut, get downhill, and you can really see him get low and take on some of those thud tackles from the defense. You're like, okay, this guy's going to not only be able to get a couple big ones and break it, but when there isn't anything there, he's going to get a positive gain. And I think that's the thing that's exciting about him right now.
With Mercedes, you got quite a history with Mercedes.
Yes.
He's an older guy. He didn't play hardly at all last year.
He's older.
Well,
I think we're like the same age.
does he still have it, and how much can he help you out this year?
I think he's going to help us a bunch. I mean, the good thing about Mercedes is, he understands the type of player he is. He's a great pro. He's one of those guys that, he really takes pride in his blocking, and he still has the ability to get down the field. I mean, he's a big target. He's had a couple catches. He's done some nice things, helps you in the play-action game for his pass protection. So I think for him, just the way that he handles himself and takes care of his body, and at the same time, just his presence and his size, I mean, just with the run game, all that stuff, he's going to be able to help us out quite a bit, I think.
How's execution been so far these first 4 days? Talking to players, they say watching films of other teams in games really helps add to what they see in the play charts. And how critical is that walkthrough the night before to be on point the next day?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think Matt has really done a great job kind of the progression of our schedule and being able to install and, then go right out on the field and walk through it. So the guys get the visual aspect of it, they get the tape of it, and then they get the ability to actually go out there and do it. So I think that's so critical. I mean, those walkthroughs are so important, especially because it takes that wear and tear off the guys. Because really, in the end, it's about the season. It's about getting all the guys to the season. And so they get that mental rep, which it might not be a pure physical rep, but they get that mental aspect of it. So I think it's huge for those guys. And from an execution standpoint, from a coach, we're always going to want more. We're always going to want to be cleaner, want to be able to get up to the huddle faster, get set with more urgency. But I think that's getting better every day. I think, the idea is to continually get better, continually improve that, and then by the time we're at game time, be ready to roll.
How come you haven't done a 2-minute yet?
We have it planned coming up this week, I believe, and I think that's just something that we all agreed. We want to do that. We wanted to focus a little more on the red zone early. I think that was one of the things, especially when you're in training camp with such a long training camp, we wanted to make sure that we were aware of their legs. And I think that when you get into the 2-minute situation, you can get a lot of reps continuously and really push them. So we're really trying to look at the players and look at just kind of their wear and tear. And I think that we want them to be ready to go when we do that so they're full speed and in great condition.
Does Corey Grant still have some of the same speed you saw in Jacksonville?
He's a pretty fast guy, yes.
Used him like special teams and as a receiver. Do you guys plan to incorporate some of that? Well, Sean knows about that kind of stuff.
Sean and I talked a little bit when he came because he did some pretty good things in special teams for us. Gave us a couple rushing yards from that aspect. But Corey's a very fast, one-cut type of guy, and I do have some past experience with him, being with him at Jacksonville during that time, and he's a great young man, and we're excited to have him. Where he's at now, I mean, he's only been here 2 days, I believe, and when you get thrown into a brand new system and you're behind, he's still thinking a little bit. But I think if we can get him going, I mean, it'll be exciting to see him compete.
What conversation like? Because Matt said you kind of did a little bit of an assist in being able to convince him to come here.
Corey and I got a great relationship, and I was excited just to kind of touch base with him and see what's going on and how life is and just kind of what's been going on in his personal life, all that kind of stuff. So it's just fun kind of catching up with him at first, and then it was just being real with him and saying, hey, there's a lot of outside zone stuff, and I know that he excels at that. That was something that we utilized him in a lot, and the ability to get him out, in the pass game and be able to, whether it's a jet sweep or just dumping a little ball. I mean, when he has the ball in his hands, you never know what's going to happen just because he's got that burst. So I think just kind of talking to him about that and just saying, hey, there's a legitimate chance to compete here. And I think that's, as a player, that's really all you can ask for is a chance to compete for a spot on a team. And he knows that I'm pretty honest, so I kind of gave him all the honesty I possibly could. And so he's a great guy.
Seems like Deshaun has some
reps where he makes some really good throws and some reps where he misses throws that he needs to make. What does it take to get him more consistent as a passer?
That's always what you're striving for with all quarterbacks. I think, the great quarterbacks are the ones that are consistent, every game, every play. And, he's been in a couple systems now. And I think that, once again, him just continually understanding the system is the first battle he's got to fight, is being able to get in there and call the play, and then understand what he's got to do from a protection standpoint to then the pass world, and then it'll allow him to just relax and play calm. And I think that's kind of the thing when you see him out there, when he's relaxed, playing tall and just executing the play. It's good. Whenever there's some indecision at times, sometimes it gets a little crazy, and I think it's just about trying to limit that and get him more comfortable within the system.
With the additions at running back, just take Aaron Jones and Jamal out of the equation. Of those other four guys, what's going to separate that group, for the roster and who plays on Sundays? What are you looking for?
I would say probably the biggest thing is probably going to be the discipline for them in their run tracks, and then their understanding of pass protection. I think those are always kind of two things you really want from a running back, especially in this system. You want to know that they're going to press the hole and they're going to trust it and get that 1 foot in the ground and get downhill and gain a yard. And then at the same time, still be able to understand the different protections that we have and how to protect. Because in this league, you got to be able to protect. I mean, a lot of it is in the pass game. So whoever's going to give us that best chance to protect and then ability to gain positive yards and stretch that hole will be huge.
With the hurry-up stuff you guys are doing, and what I mean when the guys sprint out of the huddle and get up and do the snap right away, it's been a lot of times guys are jumping on that. They're obviously not really used to that. They're learning it. So how do you go about trying to clean that up and get that sharper so that you can use it?
Yeah, that's a fun little package right there. I think right now one thing that we have is we have so many of those. So I think what happens is they're unique things and unique formations and plays, and there's multiple. So what happens is the guys are in the huddle, and typically they have the time to kind of run up to the line to think about the play, think about the formation, and things like that. So I think solidifying kind of what we want to use within that package, we're trying to test them and push them as hard as we can now, but to simplify that down a little bit so they don't have to think as much and know exactly where they're going to go, we'll make that improve some more, and then just continually doing it. Just kind of continually putting that emphasis on it, and for them to understand how much it helps them. I mean, we're not doing it because we think it looks cool. It's one of those things you can really, you can hurt a defense in that one because they have to get aligned real quick, and you've already snapped the ball and somebody's wide open. So I think it's them understanding how powerful it is and how much it can truly help them, but at the same time, them understanding the different things that we're going to do out of that package.
Two more, please.
Has the plan always been to use Vitali as much as you have been these first 4 days? I mean, that guy's been split out into the slot. He's been catching balls.
I'll tell you, the muscle man's done a nice job, hasn't he?
Catches. He's all over them now.
Yeah, I think when you have a guy like that, I think, the good thing about Vitali, he's smart. He loves the game. He's fired up. He's always asking me to get more 21 personnel in there for him, so we got to be a little creative with that. But he and Malcolm's done a nice job too. I think that when you have that position, that has the flexibility of being able to run the two-back run game, the one-back run game, the play-action games out of those, and then at the same time now split them out and do some pass concepts with that. That puts the defense in a bind. Because you can split them out, you can get different matchups, you can put Devontae certain places, all kinds of different things you can do. So I think right now it's just kind of experimenting, seeing what he can do, what we can work with, and then kind of incorporating it more and more. But when we have done that, there's been some successful things because a lot of the time you get base defense when you get a fullback out there. So that's some things that you like to attack. And so if you have a threat like that, you got a chance to utilize that.
How has the process now with camp beginning, with Aaron and all of you guys in the room? I know we asked you about it back in May, but here you are kind of in it. So where are you at with that, and how is that coming along?
It's awesome. I mean, I really have enjoyed my time in that room with all those guys. And, I've tried my hardest to kind of get around to some other rooms too. And kind of just be in there with everybody, but it's just great because you've got a guy like Matt who's got his mind of what his vision is, and you got the experience of Aaron. all the things that he's done and being able to kind of combine those two things. And you've got a great asset in Luke Getsy right there that's been in the system and knows this system, so kind of that crossover aspect of it. So I think there's just a lot of good going on in there right now. So it's exciting, and I just think just the more communication, the more dialogue we all have together and get on the same page is so critical. And up to this point, it's been really good.
The last couple days in particular, Aaron's been throwing to Devontae a whole lot. We've seen that connection is picking up right where it left off. Is that because he's been the first read more often than not? He's the first in the progression, or is Aaron just going to his security blanket?
I would say a lot of the time it's probably first read. And wouldn't be surprised if he was the second read also. I think it's one of those things, we want to be sure that Devontae's involved in the pass concept one way or the other, and he's not far off on that number one read. And I think that allows you to, throw the ball to a guy like Jimmy Graham, to Valdez, all these different guys and get him involved. But then at the same time, you've got, 17 showing up in the window also. So it's a good backup option. It's a good first option in the progression.